Hello everyone, this is Aaron again. I'm going to be doing the top 2010s games this time. Did earlier 2000s ones, and comparing this list with the older one from 2000s, it seems like this list has a lot more story-driven games. Looks like that's a trend for the past several years, ever since all of those horror-themed adventure games came out in the early 2010s. So let's go on ahead onto the list. Before I go into the top 10, I'll just put in two, Overwatch and League of Legends here. They're not really story-driven games, but just fun games to play in general with friends once in a while. Overwatch, League of Legends has always been, League's always been kind of like the successor to Dota. Overwatch is just a newer, kind of more like a casual shooter game. Yeah, again, it's just fun with friends. Character design's nice. Not much of a story, but some comics of League of Legends stuff and Overwatch comics and stories if you'd like to look at it online. So here comes actual kind of top 10. Again, some of these games are debatable in what place they can be at. This is a kind of subjective, my own opinion of how much it had an impact in my life and how I thought the story was and how the game played in general. So it's kind of a mix of the nostalgia and just general presentation, the environment of the game, the feel of the game, just how much it made you care about the characters and the game overall. So StarCraft 2, I think I liked Wings of Liberty the best, since that had a lot of hype, lot of hype for a couple of years, and then it finally came out in around 2010 or so, the beginning of the 2010s. And when this game first came out, and along with its sequel, Heart of the Swarm, the Zora campaign, this thing had a lot of hype to it because a lot of people are expecting it to be a good game, and it was a good game. The campaigns are good. I like the relationship with Jim Raynor and Kerrigan, Terran and the Zerg, and the conflicts between the Protoss and the Xel'Naga. There's a good storyline, and the gameplay is it's a very high ceiling rate for the gameplay. So there used to be a lot of pro gamers that played this a lot, and it's really, really hard to get good at it. But if you do practice, it could be rewarding. Just a little bit too competitive for my taste nowadays. Maybe I'm just getting older. More into the story-driven games, more casual competitive games nowadays. Too bad it's kind of lower here on the list because it just never really took off like how Brood War took off in South Korea and the rest of the world. StarCraft 1 Brood War is so much more uh, popular game, I think, uh, the past several years even. I think it's because of just the classic gameplay and just how the character movements and the controls are compared to the smoothed out StarCraft 2 versions. I don't know. For some reason, never took off as Brood War did. It's kind of sad, but yeah, that's why it's a little bit lower on the list. But StarCraft 1 will always have a place in my heart as one of my favorite games of all time. Yeah, there's Jim Raynor there. So number 9, I put Beyond Two Souls. I really, really like this game. Ellen Page is a good voice actor, and the story is really good. Just a kind of a story between her and her spirit self, and how the conflict between the two souls, pun intended. So the conflict between the two souls were kind of they're always fighting each other, but they always work along with each other in the end. And then there's always a lot of collateral damage with all the characters around the storyline. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. Kind of using your mind to move people and trick people and assist yourself in some stuff. Try to get out of places when you're stuck in a bad situation. You gotta play the game for yourself to really enjoy it, I think. It's kind of hard to explain. It's not really a shooter, but it's trying to survive on the streets. Ellie's character and or Ellen's character. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. The one with the even more gripping storyline, I would say Until Dawn. But Until Dawn above Beyond Two Souls, just one step above because yeah, the story again, it's horror genre for the past maybe 10, 15 years. It's been really popular in the gaming scene. I think it's because of how it gives you a sense of hopelessness, and you're gripping onto anything that can give you hope, any sense of community and any sense of belonging that you're inside some kind of family that is also struggling with you, just fighting to barely survive in this messed up world. Sounds kind of like the world nowadays in 2020. Yeah, and there's a main one of the main characters is Hayden Panettiere. She is a good actor as well. Yeah, just a horror story of some cliche high schoolers being in a party and some of them die and then they go back for some reason and they just fight a bunch of scary monsters and a lot of good story-driven games where you can change the decisions of the characters and depending on the decisions that you make, they can die or live by the end of the game. Yeah, a lot of variations, a lot of different replayability on this. Yeah, that one. I feel like Until Dawn's one of those adventure games that spawned off of the earlier 2010's games. Yeah, beginning of 2010s, a lot of good adventure games, and then by the middle of the 2010s, games like this, like Beyond Two Souls and Until Dawn, did really, really well. It's kind of like films, like watching a movie. It's really good. Yeah, so there's gonna be a lot of other kind of story-driven games. I love comics, and Wolf Among Us is based off of messed up version of Big Bad Wolf. Snow White is kind of the mayor in town. Big Bad Wolf is kind of redeeming himself by being the sheriff of the town. He lives with one of the three little pigs. They have some altercations with Jack and the Beanstalk, a couple of the other, the Axeman and Little Red Riding Hood, Bloody Mary. It's just a bunch of characters that you wouldn't expect to Beauty and the Beast, the Frog. So many characters where it's traditionally it's a nice story traditionally in like Disney stories, and then they just turn it down on top of their heads and make a messed up crime thriller version, supernatural crime thriller version of their story all into one little fable town, which is called Wolf Among Us. So it's I love comics. I love the darker versions of these comic stories, crime thriller stories. It's really nice. I really like this. So if you're into that, crime thriller games or supernatural comics, I think this might be for you. Number 6, Detroit Become Human. I think Quantic Dreams does a really good job of making adventure games, kind of like Beyond Two Souls, Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain. Haven't played much Heavy Rain. I like Detroit Become Human a lot more. Again, it's so many adventure games in the 2010s have done well, especially Detroit Become Human, I think, and a couple of other ones coming up on the list. And yeah, it's a very, very nice concept where robots have become so advanced that they have almost human personalities. And when it becomes like that, what do you do with them? I don't think there's going to be a point where it comes to this in real life, but probably kind of close, but not to the point where robots have feelings and are human-like in feelings. Because computer limitations can only go so far. People can program robots only as far as they're programmed to go. So usually they don't think for themselves as much. They're not as artistic, I guess, as humans, because humans are the ones that created them. So we'll see how it goes in the future. But Detroit Become Human, that is a good decision-making game where decisions you make can affect the characters very much, just like Beyond Two Soul, oh not Beyond Two, Until Dawn, Walking Dead, and all of that. So I put number 5, Resident Evil 2 slash Resident Evil 3 remake. I never played Resident Evil 1, 2, or 3, the originals, but I've seen the walkthroughs of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, and my gosh, this gameplay and just how everything is put together, the storyline, the setting, the plot, based in 90s fictional Raccoon City, and them just trying to survive the zombie apocalypse. Again, I feel like the past 10, 15 years, the zombie apocalypse style games like Left 4 Dead, Walking Dead, Resident Evil have been very, very popular, very, very popular, as well as adventure games in general. So yeah, I like how they remade Leon Kennedy and Ada Wong and just made them more modern and how they have the same characteristics, but they're still trying to survive. Again, modern society trying to survive, trying to be family, trying to get together and live off of what they can. Yep. Number 4, I have Call of Duty Modern Warfare Reboot. And y'all know how I think Call of Duty 4 is probably one of the most iconic shooters ever made. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare 1, the original one. So I was really surprised when they did a really good job of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, this reboot here. So the reboot is brings back a lot of characters from the original Call of Duty 4, including this guy that's staring back at you, Captain Price, and also a couple of the other characters like Soap McTavish, Ghost, and they introduce some newer characters from the Middle East and how they're usually fighting terrorists with nuclear bombs and all that stuff. They just made it so much more realistic. It's like when you see the game from 2007 back in the day, and you say to yourself, "Man, games can't get any more real than this." And then 12 years later, they come out with this, and it's even more realistic than that. It's like the bar is getting set so high for shooter games and kind of the storyline of how gripping it is and how much you care about the characters in game. Like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, what are shooter games going to look like? What are these story games going to look like? How much higher is the bar going to be set? I don't even know, man. Well, games nowadays they're becoming more and more like films. They're pretty much becoming half of them are pretty much film replacements, really. So, I mean, look at the gun design, look at the characters, just a gripping story, how they do like little Easter egg nods to the original Call of Duty 4. It's just amazing gameplay. Love the campaign. Multiplayer, I didn't play as much. Again, I'm not really good at first-person shooter games, but I mean it's fun. I mean multiplayer is fun to play with friends too, But I love the campaign of this game. Well made. Good job, Blizzard, Activision. Even though Blizzard's not that good anymore. Okay, and so I put Battlefield 1 right above Call of Duty. They're both great shooter games. I just feel that, for me personally, in my own opinion, I love Battlefield 1. I love Battlefield, the whole franchise in general. I love their multiplayer way more than the Call of Duty multiplayer. But I put Battlefield 1 above Call of Duty because I respect the EA's and DICE's ability to do something different in 2006 in creating Battlefield 1, where they put the setting as in World War One. So they tried a different kind of setting, which hasn't really been dove into before in any shooter game or any other adventure games. So I respect them for that, making artillery, uh, like siege trains, battle warships, giant battle zeppelins, and riding on horses and stabbing people and with a saber or a lance while riding on a horse, charging, bayonet charging. I mean, you didn't see much of that before Battlefield 1, and then when they implemented all the weapons from World War 1 into a game, like completely like changed up the settings of it. It was great. It was a nice fresh air um, from the usual modern like Call of Duty M16 shooters or the usual like World War II, uh, um, all the Nazi Germany setting stuff. So it's good change of pace from the usual those two eras of shooter games. And we're getting close to the top two. Yeah, it's again. There's another picture of Battlefield. You just see like how desolate the setting is. It's literally looks like a living nightmare, like living hell. With everything on fire and all smoke and this giant zeppelin in the background. There's so many things you can do other than just like shoot at close range. That's why I like Battlefield multiplayer more than Call of Duty. I mean, you can fly planes, you can run people with jeeps, you can C4 people, you can bomb people in planes, bomb people with artillery, with tanks, run people over with boats. I mean, it's great. I love it. I love Battlefield. Number two, Last of Us. It's probably a lot of people's favorite games of 2010. Um, Again, there's a lot of good adventure games that came out in the 2010s, a lot more than the 2000s and even the 90s. I think in the 90s and the 2000s, like more people are more into like simple adventure games, but nothing as intense or as detailed as games like Last of Us or Walking Dead or Until Dawn or Wolf Among Us, that kind of stuff. I think it wasn't really until like 2008 to 2010, and especially this game, Last of Us 2012 or 2013, is when the adventure kind of film cinematic game really took off. I mean, StarCraft and Warcraft had it in the late 90s, early 2000s, but I mean that was popular for some time. But after that, it was just, I mean, adventure games weren't that cinematic until the past maybe 7 8 years really. And I really like the relationship between Ellie and her uh, like her quote dad Joel. And the voice actor is really good too. Troy Baker, I feel like he's in every single game, like all the gruff, like old got old men sounding people. And then Ellie is Ashley Johnson, the voice actress for Ellie. She did a good job, and I love seeing her play Dungeons and Dragons games with Matt Mercer, voice actor for Overwatch, in Critical Role. So I love the voice actors. They did a good job putting the settings together. All the audio engineers, all the graphic artists, the graphic designers, the level designers for this game. Everyone was so devoted into this game. I think that's why this game did so good, so well, and it was so critically acclaimed. Was because everybody cared about the game. Every designer, every writer, every engineer, every software developer, every publisher, that the publisher that made this game, they were really passionate about this game, and that's really what brought it through, giving a sense of desperateness, a sense of community that is surviving, that's gripping for their life, that's fighting for their life, not just from infected zombies, not just from the apocalypse, but from other people struggling to survive, trying to kill you too, and what the decisions you would make when people are trying to survive just like you, and they want the same food or supplies as you, and they will fight you for it. Like, what will you do in that situation when you're on your last straw and you need that, you know? So I mean, this is so real. Like, it's kind of like those games where they put you in real life situations. Is like, what would you really do when if you were thrown into that situation? That's a tough choice to make, you know. A tough choice to make. I think that's why they made this game. This game was so good. Yeah, amazing adventure game. One of the best of all time, I think. Yeah. Let's see. Honorable mentions. Final Fantasy VII remake. I like how in the late 2010s they had a lot of good remakes. Final Fantasy VII and also the Resident Evil 2 and 3 and God of War, all of that. Life is Strange it's a pretty good one. Also Witcher 3, and Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild has some pretty good stories. I just never really got into the puzzles or the adventure aspects of Legend of Zelda or Witcher 3. But I mean, the Witcher 3 had some good cinematics too. That's pretty cool. And then for number one, I placed this on top of Last of Us, which is gonna get some people kind of mad. But I put Walking Dead, the Telltale game series. I mean, Telltale Games did such a good job. Too bad they kind of went under by the end of the 2010s. But yeah, throughout the 2010s, they did such a good job making like interactive cinematic story, non-linear plot story kind of games like Walking Dead and what was it? Wolf Among Us, the Borderlands games, Game of Thrones games. They're all those games you can make different decisions depending on what characters you choose and what you want the characters to say. But I mean, just this picture, just looking at it, Lee trying to hold on to Clementine's hand, trying to keep her safe, while knowing that in the end, spoiler alert, he's gonna die, and then she has to grow up living in this world, a zombie-infested world with a bunch of people fighting against her as well, trying to take care of this baby. Man, Walking Dead is so good. Like, comics are good. I've read the comics. I've seen a bit of the TV series. Yeah, it's just a gripping, passionate game. I mean, it's the reason why I didn't play the game all the way through, I just watched it, is because I can't do jump scares. I can't play horror games with jump scares, man. Yeah, people can get scared. I'll laugh at them for it, but when I play it, like I can't do the stuff. But amazing story. Probably one of my favorite games in terms of storyline, up there with Last of Us and even Resident Evil or Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Yeah. probably my top two favorite games of 2010s with in terms of story. Yeah, Walking Dead, Last of Us. Yeah, again, this is mostly for me. These are my opinions. Had some fun times with some Nintendo Switch games as well, like Pokemon, Bayonetta, and also Devil May Cry, hack and slash games. Those didn't really have much of a story to it, but those are fun games that just burn some time on, just like beat stuff up, kind of like Overwatch and League of Legends. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot more games with story-driven stuff the past 10 years. I mean, it's great. It's good to watch movie games sometimes. All right, and that's all. Thank you for watching. Bye.